Our book is called Early Childhood Education, Learning Together. It's an introductory text, but that's broadly writ because introductory can be for a wide range of people. It's really marketed officially to community college and undergraduate students, although I've used it with my graduate students, certain chapters. And we started working on this about 3 years ago.
Throughout the time that I was working on this book with Virginia, I was thinking about ECE 102 at BMCC. We have between 8 and 9 sections every semester of up to 35 students taking up to 35 students in each section taking ECE 102. So we have lots and lots of people taking this class. A lot of people come into early childhood feeling like they want to do it because they do it already and they know how to do it. And that's actually great. But it's also important to find out that it is a professional occupation, that there's lots of stuff to learn, and that it's a question of continuing to learn for a long time, for as long as you are working with children. And that's something that we try to get across very early on in the book, I would say.
People really come to this work from so many different other professions, right out of, high school, career changes. It's very broad, and some people come later in life. And there's a wide range of possible roles within the early childhood profession. So there's working in hospitals, there's working more with parents, there's what people think of immediate, of course, which is working with children.
We are interested in the reader, in the student, being able to measure their own growth and be able to take account of their own growth as they use this book and as they take this course. Another thing is that we want students to think critically. A lot of times what happens is that students come into an early childhood education course having very strong opinions and very strong beliefs about children and families. These are beliefs that they've generated throughout their childhoods and young adulthoods and perhaps later adulthoods. And to think that you can replace all those beliefs by telling people what the beliefs of the profession are really doesn't work. People can get the right answer on a test. They can tell you what's in the book, but it doesn't necessarily challenge prior beliefs. And what we felt was really important was for people to give credit to their own beliefs, to think about what they believe and to know that what they believe is important, to look at new information and to try to figure out for themselves how that new information fits with their prior beliefs. So we're trying to really take into account where students are coming from. Early childhood education over the past decades has become increasingly recognized as a field. It has become crucial for families where both parents work and who need someone to take care of their child and who need to know what those options are. It's really important for students coming into the field to know what the many options are so that they can think about the various different kinds of jobs that are open to them. What we try to emphasize in the book is that working together with families is the only real way to understand children and their cultures, who they are and who they're going to be, to understand a kind of to develop a relationship with the child through their family and with their family. And understanding that families need to work and can't be with their children all the time, and understanding then what our role is with children becomes an important thing for students to grasp, and I think that's something that we try to get across in the book.
We hope that through this introduction, students will become aware of the different roles. I think that's one issue first. And then the next issue that you're raising is how do they then act on that? A lot of that happens throughout the rest of their education and training, but I think it's important to have a beginning gleam, a little, nugget of an idea of various roles that you can take on within within early childhood education rather, that you can work in childcare, that you can work in child life in a hospital, as I said, or do advocacy work. We have a whole chapter on advocacy and the role of what it means to advocate for children.
What we tried to do in the book was feature some men so that it's really clear to people that there's a role for men in early childhood education. We have what we call real voices, and these are parents, they are teachers, they are students, they are community members who have a perspective to share on whatever the particular chapter is. So each chapter has a real voice. Some books have voices from experts, and we decided that what we really wanted was to have real people. Not that experts aren't real people, but that
people with whom readers could more easily identify.
So one person, for example, is a BMCC alum who is a kindergarten teacher in Las Vegas, Nevada. And we tried to also have people from all over the country who can give perspectives from different places. A woman from Arkansas is a mother who, when her child was only 6 months old, was called away on reserve duty and returned when he was 2, and her perspective is fascinating. Another is a mother from California whose daughter was born with multiple disabilities. Another is a caregiver in Chicago who's incredibly thoughtful about how to help a child and mother say goodbye to each other. So these real voices are, we felt, a way to help students kind of see themselves in the future in lots of different positions.
Children have changed both of us, I think we can say fairly, and it really reflects the developmental interaction approach, which is not particular to Bank Street, but is, as it developed at Bank Street, is elaborated in the book. And the idea is that we go out in the world and we have experiences, and the experiences change us. We have relationships with people, and those relationships change us. And one of the things that we talk about is that there's a familiar phrase now that everyone uses in education, which is learning by doing, and developmental interaction really is more than learning by doing, because it goes back to John Dewey's ideas, which is that you do in the world, yourself or with other people, and then you come back and you have a time to reflect by yourself or with other people, and that's where children can make things and build things about what they've experienced. And that's a particular time when adults learn from children, because then you can ask questions about what they've done, and you have a conversation about the learning, and you always end up learning about how the children think and how the experience has influenced them.
I think there are a couple of ways that I have learned from children, and that I see students learning from children as well. And one of them is that we learn about children from children. We learn about the individual child, and then we also learn about what to expect in the future from other children. But another thing is that I think we learn about ourselves. One of the things that I think happens to most people who work with children is that we hear the voices of our parents and our teachers coming out of our own mouths. And then if we do what Virginia just said, which is stop and reflect, we can think about how we want to respond and start learning from our interactions with children about who we can be. And that is a very, very powerful result of working in early childhood education.